Hubert Davis strikes again, offering class of 26 guard Caleb Holt. This dude is a winner. Keep your grubby paws off, Nate Oates.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Monday, July 22nd, 2024. Happy birthday to my dad. It's my dad's 69th birthday. So thankful for you, Dad. Appreciate you being the man that you are. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and you're joining us at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making this your first listen or watch. I want to send a special shout out to all the everydayers out there and all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community. So glad that all of you are here. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. In these dog days of summer, the sports stop sportsing like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Coming up on the show today, several odds and ends. We're going to talk in this first segment about Caleb Holt, the most recent offer for North Carolina that came through on Sunday evening. In segment 2, we're going to talk some about the recruitment of the Juice. We talked about him last week, Julius Halaifonua. We're going to talk ACC Football Kickoff kicking off this week, Summer League updates, and we're going to wrap up talking about Peach Jam and several of Carolina's recruiting targets who competed in the championship game. So let's get right into it. Let me remind you that as we kind of get now to the back end of all the main summer high school AAU action, Peach Jam is finished now. We're going to start hearing more about like recruiting visits, dudes setting commitment dates, offers coming out, all of that kind of stuff. It just starts to happen as guys are done with competition and can now start processing all of this with their family. To that point, new scholarship offer for Carolina that came to light on Sunday night from Caleb Holt. He announced it on Twitter is where I first saw it. He is a class of 2026 guy. That's a rising junior position. He's a shooting guard. I've also seen him listed as a small forward. I've also heard him talk about working on his point guard skills this summer. So he's a backcourt guy, right? A guard. Height, 6'5", that's part of it. Weight, 185. I've also seen it 200. So we'll say 185 to 200. Seeing his body, it seems more 185-ish to me, has a little bit of meat to put on his bones. AAU, he plays on the Adidas circuit for Game Elite. Ranking, he's consensus third player in the class of 2026. He's third at 3 of the 4 major recruiting sites and 4th at Rivals. He's from Newmarket, Alabama. That's why I joke about Nate Oates keeping his grubby paws off. This is Newmarket, Alabama is like northeast of Huntsville, just basically south of the Tennessee border, like due south in Nashville. So just that's kind of where it is. Nate Oates, you came to our state to take Jae'lyn Stevenson. Now I think it's time. Turnabout's fair play, right? It's time for us to come to Alabama and take Caleb Holt away from you. Also, any Arrested Development fans out here, anytime I say Caleb Holt, I just think Steve Holt. Anyway, if you've never watched Arrested Development, it's completely lost on you. But if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, school. Caleb Holt plays at Buckhorn High School. Has had several big opportunities, not just in high school, played this summer as part of Team USA at the Under-17 FIBA World Cup. USA has literally never lost. They win again in that championship. The championship game was 129-88 over Italy. And look, here's the deal. Caleb Holt is a rising junior, so he's still 16. He turned 17 in November, sometime around Thanksgiving. On the 26th. I don't know when I don't know when Thanksgiving is this year, but there you have that. For the tournament, Caleb Holt, 11.1 points per game, scored in double digits 5 of the 7 games, including the Sweet 16, quarterfinal, and semifinal. Had 16 in a game in the group round, 18 in a game in the group round. Shot 57% from the floor, exactly 50% from 3, 11 of 22. Also chipped in 3.3 boards a game, 2.9 assists, and just shy of 2 steals. So Caleb Holt doing a little bit of everything. And again, keep in mind, this is a 16-year-old playing with a bunch of 17-year-olds, like the Boozer brothers, for example. And so stepping up and doing absolute work. What I love about what Hubert Davis is doing, you've seen it in the 2025 class, is getting in on all these high-level elite guys, because in a day and age where high school incoming recruits just aren't as valuable, you might as well go after the elite guys. If you get them, you get a couple. If not, you turn to the transfer portal and you look at developing within your team and maybe guys like more in the 30s or 40s in the class. So that's kind of where it is. He's doing that again here in 2026. We talked about Caleb Holt being ranked number 3. There's already an offer out to Tyron Stokes, who's number 2, was also on that Team USA outfit, by the way. We know about in-state products. Kendra Harrison has an offer, and then Cole Clore is the other. Tar Heels seem to be kind of the favorites right now for both Harrison and Clore. We'll see what happens with Stokes and if Carolina can get Holt out of Alabama. Lots of offers, 14 of them so far for Holt, 15 now with Carolina. But again, only one jumps off the page just because it seems like we're always going head to head and everything right now. And that's Alabama. I just would like to beat them at something. I'm like going insane over just losing time and time again to Alabama. But the funny thing is, Auburn, Alabama, UGA all offered in April of 22 to Caleb Holt. That's spring of his 8th grade year. Wild stuff. As I watch him play, just gets everywhere on the court, does a lot of stuff, will assist, will dish, will dunk. He can shoot it from outside, obviously. It's interesting. If you watch his shooting form, has a bit of what I would call abnormally wide shooting base. And I mean, it doesn't seem to affect him. It's one of those things like, if a hitter looks a little bit different in his batting stance, or a pitcher has some kind of thing, if it's working, you don't always fix it. So I'm curious if that's something he'll tighten up more to shoulder width or tighter. We'll have to see. There's a couple things that I particularly like about Caleb Holt. Number one, if you watch him play, go watch a full game, go watch highlights. It doesn't matter. You'll see this. He doesn't have to chirp. He just enjoys playing the game and then scores a bucket and gets back. He's not dunking and yelling and missing, getting back on defense and therefore getting burned. Like, he just plays. He does his part and he goes about his business. And I'm encouraged by that. And hear me not being like Boomer yelling at the moon, get off my lawn kind of guy. It's just, that's basketball. Like, play the game, be a dude, play your role. And he does. Second thing I really like, Caleb Holt is a rising junior, as I said. He's been in high school 2 years. He's in the second highest classification in all of Alabama, Class 6A. And he's already won 2 state championships as a freshman and as a sophomore, and both of which were over perennial power Mountain Brook, which is in like the Birmingham area. Their former coach is now the head coach at Samford, Bucky McMillan. You probably remember Bucky Ball. They played Kansas in the NCAA tournament this year. Their new head coach, Tyler Davis, is a really good dude. We contact each other sometimes. His son, Ty, just graduated, was a senior going up against sophomore Caleb Holt. He's headed off to Creighton on a scholarship. So this is a really good team that Caleb Holt has beaten twice. His freshman year, dropped 32-18 in the state championship game, Caleb Holt did. This year, he was a little bit gimpy. He fouled out late in regulation. This game went to overtime. It was a wild ending. You should go watch the highlights. But still, 16 points, 13 boards in this game. So I'm just telling you, Caleb Holt, listed as a shooting guard, but man, he's doing all sorts of stuff in high school, even against some of the other best competition in Alabama. And so hear me say, this is not, sometimes you'll see a guy just ramp up the recruiting rankings, like have a killer summer, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, we got to get in on this guy. We've seen that with Carolina, even some this summer. That is not Caleb Holt. The Tar Heels have been tracking him for a while. Coach Lebo Saw him in December, for example, at the Day of Palms tournament, or City of Palms, which is a big tournament over Christmas break every year. There's all these things. Carolina has been tracking with him and now has offered. Now, you might ask, why the positional uncertainty? Part of it is he's got and is developing more of these guard skills, both shooting guard, working on developing his shot is something he said he really wants to work on this summer. Also working on the point guard sensibilities of passing well, of knowing when to call his own number, when to help teammates. But he's both built like and moves like a small forward, right? He's got a good big body there. As I said, I'd like to see him maybe put on some more muscle, but he's only a junior in high school, right? You don't want to bulk up so much yet that you lose your fluidity. So a lot of really good stuff there for Caleb. If I'm Hubert Davis, here's my pitch. And this is the end of our conversation today about Caleb Holt. Hey, Caleb, you're a shooting guard, right? I'd like to introduce you to the reigning ACC Player of the Year, who also, by the way, is the reigning Jerry West Award recipient for the nation's best shooting guard. His name's RJ Davis. Why don't you come? You can be him, except you're 5 inches taller. We know what to do with you, my man. We've proven it. Come be the next in that line of great shooting guards at Carolina. That's a pretty easy pitch, and he should make it. So there you go. That's Caleb Holt. Recruiting is happening all the time right now. In fact, got some more recruiting news. Last Thursday, we talked about Big Juice, the Kiwi. We got an update on his plans, plus info on ACC Kickoff that starts today and NBA Summer League wrapping up tonight. We'll get to all that in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel. Man, I love sports so much and I never want them to stop. I'm always trying to find what's something I can be watching or learning about, anything. I'm a glutton for sports punishment. But in the dog days of summer, we get fewer games and the sports don't sports like I want them to. Good news though, FanDuel lets you keep the sports going whenever you want. All you got to do, open up the app, dream up bets anytime you're in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. For example, typically this time of year, all we have is Major League Baseball. But now, the Olympics start on Saturday. Opening ceremony is Friday night of this week. I can't wait. I'm so geeked. I love the Olympics so hard. So I went to FanDuel and found some Olympic odds for you. I'll just give you a couple things for Team USA centric stuff. How about over under on how many gold medals US is going to bring home? It's set at 40.5. I haven't done my research to have any slight idea on where the sensible money's at on that. But man, it'd be fun to get in on. And then you're really bought in on these gold medals. You're like, let's get this archery medal or whatever it is. How about most total medals for the entire Olympics odds? US leads away at minus 2,000. Minus 2,000. China is second at plus 1,500. Great Britain and Japan tied at plus 6,000. That is wildly crazy odds. I think US is going to bring home the most medals. So if you want to get in on any of that Olympic action, head on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer with FanDuel, official sports partner, betting partner of Major League Baseball. Last Thursday on the show, we talked about New Zealand big man Julius Halaifonua, commonly known or congenially known, lovingly known as the Juice. He's a 2025 big man from New Zealand that received a good bit of attention following kind of a star turn at the NBA games in Atlanta back on July 10th through July 14th. It was his second year competing in it, and he had what some recruiting guys have called like an MVP type performance at this event. And one of the things we speculated about, because we've heard rumors about it, is that Juice would reclassify from 2025 to 2024. This is not unprecedented. We've seen other guys do it. Last week, I compared it to Johnny Furphy, who did the exact same thing last summer, reclassed from 24 to 23, committed to Kansas on August 3rd, and then late in the season wound up in their starting lineup, got drafted, now he's in the NBA. I'm not saying that's going to be Juice's timeline. I'm just saying we've seen it happen. We've seen it done. So it's not the wildest thing in the world. Now, Sherelle McMillan from Inside Carolina does one of the single best jobs there is reporting Carolina basketball recruiting information. Seriously, phenomenal job and trustworthy. He's not going to report it if it's not sourced, if it's not a thing. And so you can take it to the bank. He is reporting about Halaifonua that Carolina is a, quote, serious contender. Because again, he is reclassifying. That means he's going to enroll in a college in like a month, right? Because fall semesters are starting, folks. It's coming really, really soon. So McMillan says that Inside Carolina is treating him as a prospect with an offer, and in fact has confirmed a conversation between Halaifonua and Coach Hubert Davis. So, I mean, there's movement, there's noise, there's buzz. How serious is it going to get? Are both parties going to be interested and involved? We're going to have to keep waiting and watching for that, but there is some level of movement. Now, as you start to think about this thing, as I just said, we're about a month away from classes starting at most schools. In fact, I haven't even looked up when the first day of class at UNC is this fall. First day of class, UNC, fall 24. We're doing this in real time, folks. Academic calendar. Man, this is going to be really bad if it doesn't go well. But anyway, it's upcoming. I just downloaded a calendar. I don't know what we're doing here, but we're not going to bother with that anymore. Anyway, it's upcoming. Somebody probably knows, and you're screaming it at your computer right now. But here's what you need to know about the NCAA recruiting calendar. There's all these different periods when you can talk to recruits, you can't. You can visit with recruits off campus when you can't. When you can visit with them on campus, you can't. The problem is that right now, through the end of the month, through July 31st, which is next Wednesday, we are in a dead period, which means zero, nothing, no connection in terms of visits right now at all. And then there's a period where you can have visits. It's a silent period, but in a silent period, you can have on campus face-to-face interaction with a recruit. That's August 1st through 5th, which would be next Thursday through the following Monday. And then it's a dead period again from August 6th through 20th. Is that right? Yes. So that means if this thing progresses, Carolina's going to have to schedule a visit with Juice somewhere between August 1st to 5th. Now, it's a tight window, but if both parties want to make it happen, they're going to make it happen. So that's where things stand right now. My problem with that whole timeline, I'm about to leave to go to Hawaii with my family, and I'm going to be there August 1st, like during that timeline. So I'm going to be gone, and you watch. He's going to come to Carolina, fall in love, and he's going to commit, and I'm not going to be around to talk about it. But hey, look, here's the thing. I was on a vacation this spring, and Cade Tyson committed. So maybe even though I won't be here to report and talk about it and have a live moment with all of you guys, me being gone is maybe a good thing. Yes, I am that level of superstitious. Now, as we also talked about last week, there's Kentucky chatter as well. However, I've also heard some rumor this weekend from various different sources and people that there's potentially some issue with Kentucky and the registrar's office, or a transcript issue or something dealing with his potential reclassification. Or not potential, that's his plan now. I've got no specific confirmation on that, so just take that with a grain of salt. But typically when there's smoke with stuff like that, there's some fire. But all of this to say, right now, we sit tight and we wait. All right, a couple other pieces of news. ACC Football Kickoff kicks off today in Charlotte, runs through Thursday. For the first time, it's going to be 4 full days, all of it covered, as you would imagine, by ACC Network. So just click in on your TV and you can find it there. Now, there's no need to rush or scurry, because basically what they do is have a certain number of teams each day. Carolina isn't until the final day on Thursday, along with, who is it, NC State and a couple other schools. I just remember NC State because it's NC State. The other schools are Clemson, NC State, Syracuse on Thursday with the Tar Heels. So there you go. There's that. As a reminder, there are 5 players going to represent Carolina for this thing. Omarion Hampton, Kamen Rucker, the Butcher, and Power Echo. Man, we got some cool nicknames. The Butcher, Power is great. And I know Power's not his nickname, but whatever. But then also both Max Johnson and Connor Harrell. So that's an interesting dynamic for the Tar Heels. You know they're going to be asked about quarterbacks and who's going to, so they're going to have to toe the party line there and do all that. Now, in case you want to watch things get a little bit awkward, Florida State's up today. And you know things are going to get wacky and wild with the questions that media are going to ask them. So there'll be all that once ACC kickoff is over later this week. We will get stuff for like ACC preseason media poll. We'll get ACC preseason first team, all that stuff announced. And so hopefully be able to bring it to you on Friday, assuming they get all the votes tallied and the press release out pretty quick for that. If not, we can talk about it at another time. So also one other piece of wrap up is that Summer League is wrapping up right now. Tonight is the championship game. That'll be between the Grizzlies and the Heat. No Tar Heels playing in that, but a couple other Tar Heels were in action over the weekend. Harrison Ingram was inactive for the Spurs last game. It's the end of the Summer League. He's an actual draft pick. No real need there. They're trying to see other guys and who they might want to keep hang around. Cormac Ryan didn't play for the Thunder on Saturday. Tony Bradley was a DNP, for the 76ers on Sunday, but a couple Tar Heels were active. Leaky played for the Hornets on Sunday, scored 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting, 4 boards, an assist, and 3 steals in 20 minutes. Just out there doing Leaky type stuff. Garrison Brooks on Saturday playing for the Bulls, 5 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and made a 3 in 24 minutes of action. Way to go, Garrow. You love to see that. But the thing that made me most happy this weekend is Armando Bacot got to start for the Jazz. The Jazz win a game. They let him eat a little bit, finally. And good things happen when you let Mondo eat. He scored 11 points on 5 of 10 shooting, made a 3-pointer. My dude, both Garrow and Mondo out here dropping threes. I love it so much. 3 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block in 23 and a half minutes for Mondo. So filling out the stat sheet. Way to go, Mondo. Man, proud of you. That's awesome stuff. So wrapping up the show today, Peach Jam wrapped up on Sunday with a massive showdown between 2 elite squads with a bunch of dudes that Carolina is targeting in the class of 25 and 26. So I want to share some of that with you coming up in just a second. Peach Jam wrapped up on Sunday with the Knight Riders Elite beating the Oakland Soldiers 71-62. And look, the game itself is fine and whatever. Knight Riders Elite, man, they've been a juggernaut. They've won back-to-back-to-back summers, the 15U, 16U, and then this summer 17U with basically the same group of dudes, and they're just a really, really good AAU team. And sure, the game was fine, but obviously I'm out here watching Carolina guys that Carolina is targeting whom we'd like to see. Lately things have been backing off with AJ DeBansa. Doesn't seem like that's going to be a thing. He's the number 1 player in the class of 25. And that's the thing. This one game, it featured the consensus 2025 number 1, number 2, number 4, number 17, 2026 number 2. I mean, it's just high-level basketball, y'all. If you didn't watch it, it was a lot of fun. I would encourage you to do so. But aside from DeBansa, he just took over the third quarter of this game. On Knight Riders, you get the Boozer twins, and you also get Caleb Wilson. On the Oakland Soldiers, in addition to DeBansa, you also get Tyron Stokes. All of these guys, Carolina is at some level of involvement with still, and so I was really interested. And I just tell you what, man, I think you learn so much when you see them against this other high-level elite talent, and I was impressed with every one of them for one reason or another. With Cameron Boozer, he is not just the ultimate crazy wild scorer that AJ DeBansa is. But what I love about Cameron Boozer, similar to what we talked about earlier in the show about Caleb Holt, man, the dude just wins. I mean, we talked about it. Knight Riders has won the last 3 years at this age group with the Boozer twins. And in this game in particular, he kind of did start doing a lot of scoring and calling his own number. He wasn't the leading scorer for Knight Riders, but just right there. But it was so efficient, everything he did. Listen to this stat line from Cameron Boozer. 19 points on 7 of 8 shooting from the field, 1 of 1 from 3, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Oh, by the way, chipped in 10 boards, 5 assists, and 3 blocks. Was just doing so much for this team. He looks under control. He makes winning plays. He's at the right place at the right time. He helps his teammates. I'm thoroughly impressed by him. Last year at this event, he was kind of hurt. He wasn't able to perform his best. And so we saw him at more of himself at this event. But also Caden Boozer, I know he's not as highly touted as his brother, but I mean, this dude is still number 17 in the class. He's a high-level floor general. I love how he helps get all the guys where they need to be, distributes, does things really well, and puts up triple-double-y kind of numbers in this championship game. 8 points, 7 boards, 7 assists, and a steal, right? So, I mean, obviously not a triple-double. He didn't get into double digits in any of those, but just right there, I mean, needed 1 more bucket, 3 boards, and 3 assists. And in a college basketball game, he might have gotten there. There's a reminder, high school game, it's 4 8-minute quarters. That's it, 32 minutes. You're losing 8 minutes of a game. If he had that, I think he could have gotten there. But Caleb Wilson, very impressed by what he does. Man, he is long and he is gangly. He also scored 8 points in this game, 3 boards, 3 assists, and 6 blocks. He has great instincts and senses as like a weak side defender, stepping up, helping out. Like Cam Boozer was taking the Debanza assignment on defense, which I love as well about Boozer. But Wilson would often be right there to help out when needed on drives and other things like that. And so, man, I'm just telling you, I don't have any true, if we're being true, real, honest hope, I don't see Carolina getting the Boozer twins from Duke. And honestly, they could wind up at Miami. I mean, there's real noise surrounding that. I do think there's possibility with Caleb Wilson from what it sounds like. Nothing is 100%. I would say more so than with the Boozers. And Tyron Stokes being class of 26 is still too early to tell what will ultimately happen with him. So if I had to call it today, like, hey, is Carolina going to get any of these guys? If I had to pick one, Caleb Wilson is the one I would name. And would love to have him. Would definitely take him. But go back, watch this game. It is funny. I mean, you're reminded that they are high school kids. For example, at the end of, was it going into halftime? There was this moment where I was just reminded, like at the end of periods, their inability to recognize time and score. Like, hey, pull the ball out for one shot. Oh, don't take that shot. That's a bad, highly contested shot that you could get any point in the shot clock, right? Like, you just like, oh, you're highly skilled dudes, but you just don't know how to always think about every nuance and aspect of the game quite as well yet. So a lot of fun. I'm hopeful that Carolina could land one of these dudes. And man, it's just so fun to watch elite level basketball, or elite talents, I should say, in the summer. It wasn't elite level basketball. There was, obviously sloppy. That's just going to happen still. A lot of fun. All right, gang. Happy Monday to you. Great to be together. Caleb Holt, that's the name we're going to be watching, how he continues to grow and how his recruitment rolls along, and if Carolina can play a role in this young man from Alabama. If you're not subscribed to the show on audio and video, I'd encourage you to join us and do that. We'd love to have you so that you don't miss a moment of the show ever. If you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, come on and join us in there. It's free. The link is in the show notes, both on audio and video. Very seriously, free. Just sign up, come in, hang out with us and chat. It's a great place. It's a safe place. We have a great time and we learn a lot about each other beyond just being Tar Heels. That's why I always say, come for the Tar Heels, stay for the community. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow on Tuesday. But until then, peace.